I had just pressed the button on my garage door opener when an ear-splitting shriek ripped through the quiet morning air. "That's my car! He's stealing my car! Someone call 911!" The voice came from across the street, Patricia Brennan's voice, and within seconds she was frantically stabbing at her phone, pacing in circles in her bright pink bathrobe like a one-woman alarm system. Her hair was still wrapped in curlers, bouncing wildly as she pointed toward my driveway like she had uncovered a felony in progress. Her coffee mug flew out of her other hand, splattering a caramel-colored arc across her flawless green lawn. "My name's David Holloway, and I'm the kind of guy who alphabetizes his tool rack and sweeps his garage floor so often you could practically eat dinner off it. I work from home as a software consultant, which means I'm around to witness every bit of daytime neighborhood chaos. And trust me, our HOA president, Patricia Brennan, is chaos personified. She'd been circling my property like a hawk ever since I outbid her son at a public auction for a mint-condition 2019 BMW 5 Series. The car was parked right there in my garage, its metallic blue paint shimmering under the bright LED strips I installed last summer. I bought it fair and square. 3 years of saving finally rewarded. But ever since that BMW came home 2 weeks ago, Patricia had been acting like I'd stolen the crown jewels. She started with fake friendliness, showing up at my door one afternoon with a tray of cookies, even though she hadn't acknowledged my existence in 5 years. "Oh, what a coincidence," she said, forcing a smile that didn't even try to reach her eyes. "I ordered the exact same model. The dealer said it'll be delivered any day now." Then came the offers. "You know, if you ever want to sell that car, I'll pay you exactly what you paid for it." Every time, I politely declined. I told her the truth. I'd been searching for that specific car for months. I wasn't letting it go. Patricia didn't take rejection well. Within a week, the HOA violation letters started arriving. First, I was cited for leaving my garage door open for excessive periods, allegedly compromising neighborhood security. The door had been open for 7 minutes while I unloaded. Groceries. Then came the next one, a warning about unsightly vehicle storage causing visual pollution. The car was inside my garage with the door closed. And then, the pièce de résistance, a violation claiming I was breaking noise ordinances because I'd been engaged in automotive maintenance. The offense? Checking tire pressure. At 2 p.m. on a Saturday, the list grew more ridiculous by the day. I got cited for reflective surfaces capable of blinding motorists, meaning apparently the sun bouncing off my garage windows. She even claimed my driveway needed resurfacing due to microscopic oil spots that you'd need a magnifying glass to notice. Finally, she proposed a new HOA rule, requiring all luxury vehicles to be registered with the board for insurance purposes. Funny how that only applied to homes on my street, specifically mine. That morning had started like any other. I had a client meeting downtown, so I grabbed my briefcase and clicked the garage remote. As the door creaked upward, revealing the BMW's shining grille inch by inch, Patricia came bursting out of her front door like a soap opera villain. "Stop him! He's taking my car!" she shrieked, waving a stack of papers over her head. "That's my brand new BMW. It was delivered yesterday." "I have the paperwork right here." I sighed and stepped out of the garage, both hands visible. "Patricia, this is my car. I bought it at a county auction 2 weeks ago. You've seen me driving it almost every day since." But she wasn't hearing any of it. Her voice cracked as she fed her story to the 911 operator. "He hacked my garage door opener. He stole my car right out of my garage in the middle of the night and moved it into his. He's probably been planning this for months." By now, tears were streaming down her cheeks. You'd think she was auditioning for a daytime Emmy. What Patricia didn't realize was that I had seen this coming. After her third bogus violation notice, I installed high-definition security cameras covering every angle of my property, including the interior of my garage. I also kept every scrap of documentation neatly organized. The auction listing, the cashier's check, the bill of sale, the title transfer, even photos of me picking it up that day. 10 minutes later, 2 police cruisers rolled up in front of my house. Officers Morrison and Detective Walsh stepped out, already looking like they weren't sure whether to laugh or sigh. Across the street, Patricia was in full performance mode, crying, waving her arms, insisting I was running an auto theft operation from my garage. She even claimed I'd been stalking her to find out when her brand new car would arrive so I could steal it before she got the chance to drive it. I walked toward the officers with calm, open hands. "Good morning, officers. I believe there's been a misunderstanding," I said evenly. "This vehicle belongs to me, purchased legally at a public auction. I have all the documents right here." I popped open the glove compartment, retrieved my folder, and handed it to Officer Morrison, who began flipping through the pages. Meanwhile, Detective Walsh took Patricia's statement as she continued to demand my immediate arrest, insisting she had a dealership confirmation email that proved everything. Patricia triumphantly waved a printed web page like it were irrefutable proof. "This proves it's mine," she declared. The evidence turned out to be nothing more than a screenshot from BMW's online configuration tool, a car building page showing a vehicle she had apparently been designing in her spare time. It wasn't even an order, just a saved configuration with a random reference number. "I've been waiting for this exact car for weeks," she insisted, her voice brimming with misplaced confidence. Officer Morrison ran the BMW's VIN through his onboard computer while Patricia kept rambling about how I'd hacked her emails to find out what model she wanted so I could steal it. Less than 2 minutes later, the results came back. "Ma'am," Morrison began carefully, turning the screen toward her, "this vehicle is registered to David Holloway. It was purchased at a public auction on October 15th and has been legally registered and insured in his name since October 17th. There's no theft report, and this VIN has never been connected to you in any system." Patricia's expression froze. Her mouth opened and closed like a stunned fish, grasping for words that wouldn't come. Then, in true Patricia fashion, she pivoted to something even more absurd. "Well," she began, straightening her robe and clearing her throat, "the HOA has special provisions for community property reassignment in cases of neighborhood safety concerns. As HOA president, I have full authority to requisition any vehicle that poses a threat to our community standards, and this car is clearly too fancy for him. He's probably involved in something shady to afford it." Detective Walsh blinked in disbelief. "Ma'am, are you saying your HOA can legally confiscate someone's car?" Patricia nodded emphatically. "It's in our bylaws. Section 47, subsection C. Any property inconsistent with community harmony can be reassigned by board vote. I held an emergency vote this morning with myself, and it passed unanimously." Walsh and Morrison exchanged a look, part amusement, part concern, before the detective spoke again, this time with a serious tone. "Ma'am, you need to understand that you've called 911 with a false report of auto theft. You've made fraudulent ownership claims, and now you're asserting legal powers you don't actually have. These are serious offenses." Patricia's bravado began to crumble. Her face drained of color. "I'm not lying. I deserve that car more than he does," she shouted, her voice trembling. "Do you even know who I am? I've been president of this HOA for 15 years. He's nobody. He just sits at home all day pretending to have a job." She jabbed a shaking finger in my direction, practically trembling with fury. "Ma'am," Officer Morrison said sharply, "that's enough. Making false reports to law enforcement is a crime. Attempting to use your position to take someone's property is a crime. You need to come with us." Patricia's eyes widened. "You can't arrest me. I'm the victim here. Check his garage. He's probably got a dozen stolen cars in there." I kept my tone calm and even. "Officers, you're welcome to check. I have nothing to hide." I pressed the garage remote and the door lifted smoothly, revealing my spotless space, the BMW gleaming beside my old Honda Civic. Every tool hung neatly on the wall. Patricia pointed wildly at the Honda. "That one's stolen too. No one owns 2 cars unless they're a criminal." That was it for Detective Walsh. "Patricia Brennan, you're under arrest for filing a false police report, attempted fraud, and misuse of emergency services." Patricia's jaw dropped. She spun on her heel and tried to bolt back toward her house, but her slippers flew off mid-run, and she stumbled across the lawn before Officer Morrison caught her by the arm. By now, at least 20 neighbors had gathered outside, filming with their phones, The queen of the HOA was being led away in handcuffs, her spotless reputation unraveling right there on her own front lawn. This is all a misunderstanding, she shrieked, struggling as the officers read her rights. I'm being framed. He's the real criminal. Someone call my lawyer. Call the HOA board. They guided her toward the squad car as she twisted around to glare at me. You haven't won, she spat. I'll sue you for everything. You'll never park in this neighborhood again. The HOA will ban you. Officer Morrison closed the car door, her voice muffled as she continued shouting. Detective Walsh handed me his card. Mr. Holloway, we'll need a full statement later today. You should also consider filing a restraining order and keeping those HOA violation letters. They could help establish a harassment pattern. 3 months later, I sat in the back of a courtroom as justice finally caught up with Patricia Brennan. The charges had stacked up quickly. Filing a false police report, attempted grand theft auto through fraudulent means, misuse of 911, and criminal harassment. But the investigation uncovered even more. She had been embezzling HOA funds to finance her luxury car obsession. Suddenly, her desperation for my BMW made perfect sense. The judge's voice was stern and deliberate. Mrs. Brennan, your actions represent a gross abuse of power and a blatant disregard for the law. You weaponized both your HOA position and emergency services for personal gain. Patricia stood at the defense table, dressed in a conservative gray suit instead of her trademark pastels. She looked smaller now, drained, defeated. For filing a false police report, attempted fraud, and criminal harassment, the judge continued. You are sentenced to 18 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and ordered to pay $50,000 in restitution to Mr. Holloway for damages and legal fees. You are also permanently barred from serving on any homeowners association board. The gavel came down with a sharp, echoing crack. Patricia's knees buckled, and her lawyer had to steady her as she broke down in tears. This isn't fair, she whispered between sobs, her voice shaking with disbelief.